Stone&Webster, one of the nation's engineering giants that has been 1889, offered its customer in the United States and the world engineering, design, construction, consulting, and environmental services to build electric power plants, petrochemical plants, and refineries, factories, and etc. Next, Stone&Webster declared bankruptcy in 2000 and was bought by the engineering firm named Shaw Group. Besides, the Stone&Webster is now wholly owned subsidiary of Shaw Group Incorporation. The number of their employees are now up to 5,000 people. Also, the operating revenues amounted $1.16 billion in 1999. Here are some of the company chronology of Stone&Webster. It's founded at the year of 1889, and in 2000 there is liquidity problems forced the company into bankruptcy, and in 2003 the company emerged from bankruptcy. Next, let's moving on to the issue of the case. For the first point, we have manipulation of account. This can be proven where the company's profit boom due to the business conducted on lucrative, which also means it is a cost-plus system in business building nuclear power plants. Moreover, pension fund is used to cover the losses. The most significant non-core addition to the company's income is from its overvalued pension. Next, for the second point, we have ineffective board structure and leadership. It has been proven where there is a failure to the company's direction and strategy. Next, they also having long tenure directors, which the board independence is compromised. Moreover, there is no proper election process of nomination committee. In addition, on the attendance of director in 1994, proxy revealed that Peter Grace did not attend 75% of the meetings. Next, for the third point, there's improper consideration of shareholder, or it's called as rubber stamp. From the case, it proved that 37% of the company's stock held by ESOP, which also means Employee Stock Option Plan, is represented by Chase Manhattan Bank ESOP. Besides, Lens Fund acquired 1% of the company's shares to bring change to the company's management.
Let's start with the first discussion question, which is, what is the role of the board of a company financial reporting? And the discussion objective is to identify the role of director in respect of financial reporting in a company.
View is lack of transparency and disclosure in reporting. This means that it needs to be completely released in public record, not hiding the appropriate information. According to MCCG 11.2, it stated that the core concept of corporate governance and integrated report is the main report from which all other detailed information, such as annual financial statement, governance, and sustainability report. It is consists communication about how the company's strategy, performance, governance, and prospect lead to the value creation. Organizations are transparent when they are enable others to see and understand how they operate in an honest way. To achieve transparency, an organization must provide information about its activity and governance to its stakeholders that is accurate, complete, and made available in timely way. According to MCCG 11.2, an integrated report improves the quality of information available to investors and promote greater transparency and accountability part of the company. Section 215, 216, and 217 of the Company Act stated that the financial statement, including consolidated financial statement, should be approved by the Board of Directors and should be reviewed by auditor to make sure there is transparency and disclosure in financial. An effective audit committee can bring transparency, focus, and independent judgment need to be overseen in the financial reporting process, according to MCCG. The members of the audit committee not only have formal independence in compliance with defined requirements, but also an independent of thinking, judgment, and practice, so that independence is not only interpreted or seen, but it actually implemented. According to MCCG 8.5, the audit committee members are expected to be financially literate and have sufficient understanding of their company business. This will enable them to continually apply a critical and properly view of the company financial reporting process, the transaction, and other financial information in effective way. Into the case study, the company profit loss due to the cost-plus system in the business building nuclear power plant. This is because Stone&Webster refusing to acknowledge that it once highly profitable nuclear was dead. And this can be seen more when the company core engineering business had been losing money for several years, and the staff had fallen from 50,000 to 6,000 people, and it is decreasing in the profit and the stock price in the Stone&Webster. This happening because it is true the income they got from business listed in the financial statement, but the company itself do not have profit coming in at all. Thus, they manipulated the financial statement because they did not want to state the loss of the company. Next application is the failure of the core business because of the contribution of income from other sources, which is the pension fund is used to cover the losses of the company. The non-core addition to the company income came from its overvalued pension fund. Stone&Webster contribute to the company employee benefit plans, especially in pension fund. The credit was not mentioned in the income financial statement as permitted in the accounting standard. Later, it became the cost, which is increased the fee to the company. Furthermore, large sums deposited early for pension of terminated employees remain in the plan and become available for the company for few ongoing employees. The pension fund credited is for responsible to reducing the expenses. Without the adjustment, the company will lose money every year. According to MCCG 8.0, there is an effective and independent audit committee. The board is able to objectively review the audit committee findings and recommendations. The company financial statement is a reliable source of information.
Moving on to the second discussion question, which is, how can a board structure affect the performance of company? The discussion objective is to discuss the effective board structure in improving the performance of the company.
Moving on to corporate culture. Corporate culture is a shared philosophy, ideology, value, beliefs, behavior, and norms that bound the organization together. The pattern of shared values and beliefs would help individuals understand organizational functioning and thus provide them with norms for behavior in the organization. Corporate culture could be a strategic asset for the organization in that it increases the adaptability of and fit between an organization and its environment. Next is rotation of director. Director rotation is a process of limiting corporate board members' service length and having them vacate their positions. A policy regarding director rotation may be included in a corporate governance policy or company constitution. The purpose of rotation is to have a suitable and diverse composition, combining individuals who have experience and knowledge as the directors who have skills and knowledge in other areas and sectors that enable the right balance to be attained in the composition of corporate bodies to improve operation and performance of their duties. Next is nominating committee. The establishment of a nominating committee is likely to improve the separation of management and control in the firm. Nominating committees should be able to reduce the influence of CEOs on the process of director selection. The roles of nominating committees are primarily to define the profile of directors to be recruited, to identify potential directors that match the defined profile, and to suggest the nomination of suitable candidates. Next is directors' duties and responsibilities. There are three categories of directors' duties, which are fiduciary duties, which is duty of good faith and no conflict of interest. Secondly is duties of care, skill and diligence, where directors should exercise reasonable care and such skill that might reasonably be expected of a director having the same responsibilities. And the third one is statutory duties, which is duties that is required by law. In the application of the case, Stone&Webster company, however, failed to apply a good corporate culture. This is because they are practicing a culture where the boss is always right, and this allowed the management and the board to ignore the reality of the company's disastrous performance in its core business. This is supported by MCCG 1.1, where the board should set the company's strategic aims in ensuring that the necessary resources are in place for the company to meet its objectives and review management performance. The board should set the company's values and standards and make sure that its obligations to its shareholders and other stakeholders are understood and met. Next is when the company is having long-tenured directors, which is for a half-century service, which the board independence is compromised. However, it is stated in MCCG 4.3 where the board has a policy which limits the tenure of its independent directors to 9 years. This is to find a diversity in skills, experience, age, cultural background of new directors to possibly give better input to the betterment of company management. Having long-tenured directors might give potential negative impact that directors' long tenure may have on their independence. The long tenures of independent directors and familiarity may erode the board's objectivity. Furthermore, Stone&Webster company is proven to have an ineffective board management where there is no nominating committee and no proper election process for nominating committee, so there was no focus or energy to bring on fresh, independent, non-executive directors to the company. Lastly, when looking back to the case, the company director of Stone&Webster is having a problem with the attendance of director, where 1994 proxy revealed that Peter Grace as the director did not attend 75% of the meetings. This has shown that Peter Grace has not complied with his duty of care, skill and diligence as a director. This is supported by MCCG 12.2, where all directors should attend general meetings. The chair of the audit, nominating, risk management and other committees should also attend to the meetings to provide meaningful response to questions addressed to them.
The last discussion question is, what is the role and purpose of shareholder in the company? The discussion objective is to identify how shareholders can influence the governance of their firm.
Okay, so I will explain to all of you about the third literature review and apply it in Stone&Webster case study. So, firstly, the shareholder have rights in approving fundamental of the board decision. By mean, the shareholder can prevent or block any unnecessary action or decision made by the directors. Secondly, the roles of shareholder is ensuring competent board to manage the company in order to ensure the effectiveness of corporate company management and long-term sustainability. So moving on to the application of the case study, whereby ESOP that stands for Employee Stock Option Plan that represented by Chase Manhattan Bank as the institutional shareholder for the company proved that it failed to exercise their rights as the shareholder by being rubber stamp for the director's decision. As the shareholder, It should exercise closer oversight, control management, and also control decision making made by the directors. Moving on to the next application of case study whereby Lens Fund have made some investment in Stone&Webster company by purchasing stock and own the share. So he decided to use the rights as the shareholder in order to improve and enhance the board management in Stone&Webster company. So that's all from me. I will pass the floor to the next presenter.
The first recommendation is implement a good corporate culture in the organization. There should be no culture where boss is always right, as told by those who work at Stone&Webster. The upper management have to play a big role to ensure that a good corporate culture is being practiced in the organization, and they have to explain clearly about the appropriate culture that shall be followed by everyone in the organization. Thus, those in the upper management has to show a good example to the employees in practicing a good corporate culture by having a good corporate governance to ensure that the company can survive longer in the industry. It is the management's responsibilities to ensure everyone in the organization are clear enough and are able to practice a good corporate culture. Next, maintaining a good relationship with employees within the organization. The management has to be aware of the employees' performance and their need in the organization to ensure that they are motivated in doing their jobs, or else it is hard for the company to achieve its objective. A good teamwork is important for a company to sustain in the industry. Thus, a good relationship with employees is a must so that the employees will feel appreciated while working in the company. Next, continuous improvement to ensure the sustainability of the company. In the case of Stone&Webster, where it mentioned that they had been very successful in the past, so there was no reason to change. The more money they made, the more conservative they got. In order to keep on sustained in the industry and maintain a good image and profit of the organization, continuous improvement is very important, as the company has to keep on improving their products, services, and also their corporate governance. This is because the industry is keep growing from time to time, such as new technology came in, customer demands, and others. As a company, Stone&Webster has to adapt with the new industry and having plan on how to react if there are any changes that might affect the company's objective, such as hazard risk, as a company has to prepare themselves to deal with that situation in future. Lastly, the audit committee should play their roles intuitively. Audit committee has a big responsibility to manage the process of financial statements, audit process, system of internal controls of the company, and compliance with laws and regulations. They should be able to come out with the information and proof if there is any breach of duty happen in the company. As in the case of Stone&Webster, the company didn't come out with the complete financial statements of the company, and the company are not being transparent with their shareholders regarding the financial statements of the company. As a conclusion, a success beginning does not guarantee a success ending. In the case of Stone&Webster, even if the company had already made it to one of the top companies in the United States, the company will not success if there is no teamwork among the employees in continuing the business. It is very important to make employees feel needed and appreciated by the company by giving them such as bonus to increase their motivation in their jobs. The transparency is also important, as the shareholder has to know what is actually happened in the organization. So, if there are any problems arise, they can sit together to find solutions. The company has to be transparent with the company's financial performance and other information that the shareholders need to know to ensure the company can deal with any problems arise in the company and to maintain a good image and reputation in the industry. No matter how much a company has succeeded, it is always good for them to keep humble and continue on improving their products and services to ensure that they can sustain longer in the industry and maintain their good reputation.